It's the Introvert Dating Success Podcast, the show for introverted men that's all about learning how to attract beautiful women and still get your precious alone time. And now, here's your host, dating coach and fellow introvert, Harry Wilmington.
What up, IDS mob? Welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show. I'm your host, Harry Wilmington. I'm back after a week off. Got some nice time to rest and relax, and also to look over some of the comments that I've gotten on some of these videos as of late. And so today I'm going to actually be answering comments from two viewers who asked very similar questions, basically involving how to find love at an older age and how to be confident that you'll find love despite up to this point either not having it or not having the kind of love life that you want. Now, as you get older as a man, you might start to think that it's going to be more challenging. You're going to age out. Women aren't going to want to date you because you're older. But the opposite is actually surprisingly true. The good thing about a man is as you get older and you become more self-sufficient in your job, ideally become a more confident person, what you're going to find is the things that women find attractive in men, most of the time, older guys have that. Financial security, their own place, being confident, the ability to actually take care of them. Those are the things that women cherish. And so because those particular things are what women are after, they're more likely to actually go after older men. Most women are actually with guys that are older than them, whether it's by a few months all the way up to like years. Like I'm talking like 10, 15, 20, 25 years. And you may think, well, that must be women that are after that are gold diggers, that are after rich guys. No. Again, the things I talked about. Women want a guy that's confident, that is secure in himself, is going after goals, is financially secure. Like those things matter more so than you having to be a rich guy. All right. So that's why older guys tend to be more attractive. But what if you're an older guy that is struggling or has struggled up to this point to be able to date the women that he wants to date or to be able to get with somebody? Well, we're going to get into what these guys' comments are so I can talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to go answer their comments one at a time. And then I'm going to go into just some generalities about what troubles you could be having if you're not finding love, like what that actually means and how to combat that. All right. So let's get into this guy's first question. So this commenter left a comment on one of my videos, and he said, how do you remain confident that you'll find love despite the fact that you haven't found it yet, especially as you get older? So it's a very short question. So what I have found is that the biggest mistake you can make as a guy, amongst the many other mistakes you can make, is putting your focus and attention on specifically finding love. Your focus as a man should be focusing on your goals, trying to get money, your dreams, and trying to make yourself stable in your life. Okay? Because here's the thing. Women want men who are stable and who have stuff going for them and don't look broke. Look, they can take care of themselves. And if you spend your time focusing on women, it's going to take away time that you're spending focusing on the things that you need to get and obtain in order to not only get a woman, but then keep her. All right. So your goals are misguided. Now, does this mean that as you're out and about doing this stuff that you don't go after women or look after them? But what it means is this, is that as you're out living your life and achieving your goals and dreams, you're going to find that women will notice that and make themselves available in your orbit. I don't know if I've talked about this on the show before, but here at my apartment, I have a studio downstairs where I can film stuff. Like I can, I film videos and ads for other entities and businesses and stuff like that. And so that means that if I wanted to, I would never have to leave my apartment. I can just go downstairs, film stuff, come back up here, record this stuff, film it, be done, whatever, right? I remember there was a time when I went downstairs to film something, and because I film for businesses, I was in a very nice decked out suit and tie, whatever, right? I go outside, I go downstairs to go to record, and this woman that I've never met before, like, sees me and comes up to me and starts chatting and starts talking to me and asks me, oh, what is it that you do? And then like, what's this for? And so I was able to show her the little makeshift studio that I have. And she was like, oh, so impressed and whatever. And in that moment, I was like, oh crap, this is what I talk to guys about, that I wasn't today trying to go hit on a woman. I was going to go actively do some work that I'm already successful at. but she sees me in a suit. She sees I have my own little studio. And that starts painting a picture for her of, I want to be in this guy's world, because he clearly, if he's able to set all this stuff up and he has, this really nice suit and he has this job that he does, like, he must be a guy that is about something. And he must be a guy that has a lot going on. And he's got an interesting style of job that most of the guys I know don't have. So that by default makes him interesting. All that happened because I was just doing the thing that I normally do every day. Okay. So recognize that in that moment, I'm not chasing after her. She comes to me, and that's me being at my apartment. Can you imagine if I go out into the world and do things and talk to people and just, I'm running errands, saying I'm doing this thing for the show, or I'm doing whatever. Like, living your life is going to be the thing that's going to allow women to come to you. Now, that said, if you happen to spot a woman when you're out and about, the other thing I find is that if you are following your goals and your dreams and those things start to actually happen, you start to get more confident in yourself. That confidence will now radiate onto other people, including other women that you happen to come across, because women are very good at being able to read the difference between men that are confident in themselves and men that have like nervous energy. And nervous energy makes women nervous. Like, women don't want to get with a nervous guy, because, to be honest with you, a lot of women, despite how confident you think they look, a lot of women are walking around on a daily basis with self-doubt, with low self-esteem, with wondering if who they are in the world is good enough for the rest of the world. And so she's already got that energy. You cannot then come to her with that energy, because it then compounds that energy for her. And she needs that whole thing of like, she wants a guy who can be her rock. She's saying she wants a guy that is steadfast and is confident. And when she's feeling like she isn't confident in herself, she can look to him and kind of righten that ship and regain that confidence, or be able to see that everything's going to be okay, because her guy is making it look like everything is okay. And it actually is. All right. So the more confident you are, you build that confidence, one, by chasing after your dreams and goals. And then also, two, honestly, and this is something that a lot of other gurus don't talk about, is that confidence is actually a habit. Okay. So let's take you, right? Let's say you're like 40, 45 years old guy, right? And up to this point, you haven't really dated a whole lot of women, and the women that have come to you aren't exactly the ones that you want, and you don't know what to do. Well, you have to ask yourself, how often have you been asking women out? How often do you put yourself out there to actually meet new women and talk to them and actually work up the courage to ask them on a date? Are you on dating apps where you're able to have regular conversations with women? Are you going out to, various outings or activities that you like and talking to women and getting to know them? Are you going to stores and talking to sales department ladies? Like, how much practice do you actually have in real life talking to women leading up to trying to ask them on a date? Because if you don't have a lot of practice doing that, then you need to up your numbers. Because what you'll find is, as you up your numbers and you do it more, then in the beginning, you'll be nervous as heck. And you'll be like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. I'm so nervous. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I don't know what words I'm going to say. And you're not going to be very confident in your ability to say the quote unquote right thing to get this woman interested in you. But what you'll find is those first few tries will be nerve wracking. By try 50, you'll starting to have a routine down of some kind of what you say or how you open up to women. You'll have an idea of the things that women actually want you to say, or how they want you to approach them, to where you'll be less nervous, to where by the time you get to woman number 50, you'll already have enough practice in to where you'll have some kind of arsenal of what to do when you go into these situations, and you'll be less nervous, which means by default, you'll be more confident. So confidence is a thing that can be practiced, but that only comes through repetition and consistent habit. The more you do it, the more confident you become at it, the less nervous you'll be, the less nerves you'll have. And then from there, you'll start to get women that'll actually be interested in going for a cup of coffee, going on a first date, going on a second date, hooking up with you, going on multiple dates with you, eventually becoming your girlfriend. And this can't happen, though, if you're not practicing. So confidence is the thing that both you build on yourself by going after your goals and dreams and really like solidifying the things in your life that make you your authentic self. And then it's also practice. You have to go out there. And if you're nervous right now and you're not, if you've been low in confidence and not able to like go after the women that you want, whatever, it usually means that you're not asking enough. Because I guarantee you, as you do it more and it becomes old hat, you will, and then I tell guys this too. I say, get comfortable with rejection. Like, instead of being afraid that you have to say the right thing or you're going to chase women away, do the opposite. Say, you know what? I'm going to go out there and just start trying stuff. And my goal is to fail with 10 women. I'm going to go up to 10 women and I'm going to do an opener that is guaranteed to bomb, but I have to get to 10. And I found that by doing that, I usually couldn't make it to 5 before I had like a number, a date, a hookup. But you have to get past that barrier in your own mind. And the only way to do that is to actually go out there and do the thing. So hopefully that helps you out. Okay. And again, don't necessarily focus so much on finding the love of your life, because what you'll find is that if you do that, you're going to go on these first few dates with these women, or you'll approach every woman as if, okay, I got to approach her and this is going to be the love of my life and I got to make it work. And you're going to put so much force into this action that it's going to make it uncomfortable for her. It's going to make it uncomfortable for you, and you're not going to get the results that you want. Okay. So don't go into interactions or dates assuming that this woman I'm talking to right now has to be the love of my life. You're going to be nervous. Again, go for 10. Say, I'm going to ask 10 women out, and, I'm going to bomb. And then as you start getting dates, say, okay, I'm going to take 10 women out on dates and I'm going to bomb on all the dates. And then just go out there and just have fun. Now, that said, you obviously want to study up on what to do on these dates and, conversations that you can have and how to, make the date less nerve-wracking for her and for you. And if you need that kind of help, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com and click on some of the programs that we have there to start getting you into the frame of mind of how to not bring so much nervous energy into these various interactions. Okay. So hopefully that answers the first guy's question. Now on to the second guy. And this first guy that I answered question for, he was like 40 something. This guy is 57. And so he says, what is your recommendation if you're older? He's 57. It is hard to find someone that does not have a kid or kids. Do you just casually date? Maybe go for a woman of the East. I guess that's like Asia, I guess. He says, what are your thoughts? I am single with no kids, and that is why it is so hard to try and be involved with someone that has kids, no matter what age those kids are. Getting older, they bring more financial problems, and they are not even yours. Okay, so I am not 57 years old. So I can only give so much insight into what it's like dating at that age. I do imagine as one gets older and older, I'm at 40 now, and I'm already feeling the effects of like being in a regular routine to where it's like I could see how it could get harder and harder to date, given that aside from trying to learn a new person, you're also hoping that that other person learns your routine, and hopes to God that you're not going to make them change it, So it can be very hard on that front. But also to his point, yeah, as you get older, you're as a guy, as you get older, you typically still have the lay of the land. Like real talk, I recently recorded a funeral reception, and it was a lady I'd done a video for like 5 years ago who had recently gotten married, and she was like mid 60s, and the guy she married was 90 years old. So there's like almost a 20 something to 30 something year difference in their age range. Okay. But this 90-year-old guy was still able to get this 60 something year old woman. Okay. So I say that to say that as a man, the nice thing about getting older is if you have the things in place that women are needing in a relationship in terms of being financially secure, having your own place, being able to take care of somebody else, then you have the lay of the land. So I don't want you to get shamed, for one, about the idea of you potentially dating people that are in their 20s or early 30s, even though you're 57, because women of that age, as weird as it sounds, will date men your age. And a lot of women in their 20s and maybe even early 30s quite often don't have kids. So that would get rid of that particular problem. Okay. Now, that said, as you get older, you'll find that a lot of the things that you felt should be things that you want or need for a relationship to work for you become less and less of a thing that is a thing you have to have. Okay. For example, back in the day when I was like in my early 30s, I was like, I don't want to date divorcees. I don't want to date anybody who smokes weed, because those are just two things, with divorcees, they have a lot of baggage with them already. And so statistically, if you date somebody who's divorced, they're more likely to get divorced again. And then if they're smokers, I don't like the smell of it. And they're going to want to smoke around you all the time and yada, yada, yada. Okay. And then as I got older, I realized that, what? That severely limits my pool because, let's say I date a divorced woman. I don't know why she got divorced. Maybe she dated a guy and he was able to hide who he was until they got married. And then he became very, very abusive. Is that now her fault, or is it the guy's fault for being able to hide who he really was up until they got married? And so I had to start looking at, and even with the weed thing too, it's like, well, what if the person agrees to only smoke weed when I'm not around, or, smoke weed outside of their apartment, or smoke weed when they're blowing out the window, but when I'm not there, And so what I started to realize is that you have to look at these scenarios that come up of things that you said you would not want and see if there could possibly be any flexibility to it. So for example, this guy's 57 and he doesn't want to date anybody with kids. And I get that because, if the woman has younger kids, their whole life's going to be about those kids, and it's going to be spending money for school and money for food and money for clothing and money, medical bills and all these other things. Okay. They get into their teenage years. They're playing sports. They cost a lot more to feed. They're starting about talking to pay for colleges and stuff like that. You date women with later kids in the later years, they got college, they got other things that are coming up. And so those would be scenarios that you have to look at and decide, are those things you can handle? Some guys can handle. I've done a whole series of videos now about dating single mothers, and I've said in all of those, single moms are not bad people. You have to know going in what you're going to get with them. Just like with women, I say, if you're going to date a single dad, I had a woman comment the other day talking about, well, I wouldn't date a single dad and yada, yada. And I said, you're in your right to do that. They have their own baggage, and it could be a thing that you have to deal with. So you have to decide as a woman if you want to do that. So I'm all for, if you're going to date somebody that has kids, you have to know what you're getting into. But that said, there are levels of this. So if you're 57, let's say you find a woman that's like 45, all right? I have women that I went to college with who are now 41, 42, who have kids that are just now graduating. So they clearly had kids when they were in college, right? But their kids are graduated and they're living their own lives, all right? So if you're dating a 45-year-old woman who has a kid that's in her 20s, but the kid has left home and they got their own job. Maybe they've already gotten married and started their own family. My brother got married at 25, so that can't happen, And so if that's a situation where those kids are older, like in their adult years, they're not being a financial burden on the mom, they have a relatively good relationship with their parents, and they're not constantly trying to be in and out of their parents' business, then that would be a situation where the woman that is 45 years old, you might consider dating her because realistically, her adult kids are not going to be around most of the time. Like, I'll take my mom's situation, right? My mom's now 67, 60, she'll be turning 68 this year. My brother lives up in Northern Virginia, like 2 hours away from her. I live in California, a 5-hour flight away from her, okay? And so she has her own life going on. If a guy were to come into that situation and be like, oh, but you have kids, like you have kids, she has kids that she sees maybe like 4 or 5, or my brother, like, we'll probably say realistically like maybe 13, 14 times a year. I go out there like 2 or 3 times a year. How often are we going to be interfering with my mom's dating life if a guy comes along? Like, that's going to be a thing that seldom happens because she lives by herself and she can like do that. She can schedule time to see the guy, whatever, and spend time with him and not to worry about our input. So you have to look at what kind of kid scenario are you going into? Now, if the woman has adult kids that are constantly in her business, are bumming money off of her, are living at home with her, are, trying to get involved in her business all the time, well, then that would be a scenario where you may say, she has kids and they're older, but I don't want to deal with that. Okay. But the point is, you can't just have this one standard and say, and I'm going to just stick to that one thing, because there are always going to be various scenarios that come into play that might change that up. If you see a woman who has kids that live in a completely other state or other country, are you going to punish her because she wants to talk on the phone with him every other night? Like, that's a thing that would kind of honestly, like, not really be cool. So again, look at your scenario and see what's up. As in terms of like dating women that are in the East, I don't know. I've done a show before about dating women in foreign countries. And what I've said is that, again, the caveat is that if you date a woman in the East, they're going to still want you to be set up to be able to take care of them. It's not like you go over there and be a bum and they'll be like, oh, I'll get with you because you're American. Like, that's not really how that works. That works because in those other countries, sometimes the American dollar goes a lot farther and you can get by a lot more with it. So by default of that, those women will get with you, but it's still based on, Are you able to financially take care of this other person? Can you provide them a place to live? Like, if those things aren't in place, then you can get a woman from any place in the world. It's still not going to work out. All right. So don't have that be the thing that's going to help you determine where to get a woman at. All right. Lastly, this is just a general thing for men that are older that are having a hard time finding love. If you're at a point in your life and you're in your 40s and your 50s and you're still single and you're not able to date the kind of women you want, because you can be single, quote unquote, but still be hooking up with all kinds of women. And if that's your lifestyle, then you're getting exactly what you want and you don't need help. But if you're trying to find like a long lasting love that's going to stay with you and be married to you, and you're not able to do that, here are 5 things that I find are typically happening. All right. The first one, like I said earlier, is you're not asking out enough women. You're not in enough contact with enough women to be able to actually have a wide enough sample size or dating pool to be able to effectively find the women and date the women that you actually want. All right. So start going out there more. And I know this is a hard thing, especially for introverted men, because, and I'll say this, as you get older as an introvert, there's dual problems, because you want your alone time still, but you also want somebody to love you and be in your life. And it can be a struggle for introverted men to think that they can actually verbally say to a woman, hey, I want to be around you, but not today. I love you so much, but I need my alone time today to recharge my battery. So you also need to practice being able to have that conversation. And I get it, because I dated women who, when I had that conversation initially early on, there was pushback. There was feelings of, why don't you want me around? I feel hurt, yada, yada, yada. But as I said it more, they got more used to it. So you have to start practicing being able to actually open up and express to a woman what an introvert is, how you're an introvert, how that shows up in your dating life, and what you guys can do to compromise on the times when you want alone time, but maybe she wants to be with you. Okay. So practice that. But again, this also goes to the more women you ask out, you'll start to find women that are actually quite okay with you having your alone time and fine with your introvertism. Okay. That's the first thing. The second thing it means is that you have bad dating habits that you're either not aware of, or when a woman brings them up, you're trying to say, well, that's not a thing. That's just how I am, and deal with it. And to both of those, I say, one, stop being so self-righteous and realize that it's your ego that's trying to protect you by saying that you don't have any dating problems. But look at the evidence. If you're 45, 50, 55, 70, whatever, and you're still single, and when you ask women out and you go out for a little bit and then suddenly they start to trail off, it means there is something you're doing in the span of your interaction with women that's causing them to eventually leave you that may warrant some review. And that sometimes means taking the harsh criticism that you feel is harsh, but is really coming from a loving place from a woman that's saying, hey, I actually want to be with you. And so in order to make that work, I need you to be aware that these things are happening that you're doing that are causing me to not want to be with you. Okay. So start to be more open to those conversations versus being so closed off. The third thing is that it means you're too attached to the outcome. If you're going out there and you're putting too much pressure on every single woman that you're asking out or dating, it means that you're so affected by her saying yes or no to you that you're not able to be that fun guy that most women want to date. Okay. You're taking it too serious. You're asking for commitment too soon on. And this is especially a problem as we get older, because it's that weird thing of like, we start to realize we're running out of time. And so in order to combat that, we're going on 2 dates and being like, so where do you see this going? You still got to take it as if you're 20 years old in the sense of your timing. I tell you guys, on average, it takes a woman 2 to 3 months to solidify her feelings for you. You can't go on 2 dates and start asking, what are we questions? You got to let it play out for every woman you date, 2 to 3 months before those serious conversations come up. And even then, she should be the one bringing it to your attention. If she's not, and you're trying to rush it, then it's not going to work. The fourth thing that it could mean is that you're forcing yourself to treat every new woman you take out or ask out as the one. Again, this goes back to you're applying too much pressure, okay? You might date a woman after 1 or 2 dates and realize she's every single thing that you've ever wanted. Take into consideration that men typically make their assessments a lot faster, but then regret it a lot later. Women try to build up all their regret up early on because they don't want to make a mistake, because they know once they fall for you, it's a wrap. All right. So this is why it's good to go at her pace and to say, hey, you know what? Let me not assume this woman's the one after 1 or 2 dates. Let me take my time, really get to know her, and see if in the process of these 2 to 3 months of dating, if she actually could be the woman I'm with long term, versus assuming after 2 dates, oh, we had 3 hours of good conversation, so she must be the one. Like, stop doing that, because it's really messing you up. And then the fifth thing that it could mean, if you're not finding love at an older age, it could mean, honestly, that you're too picky and you need to relax some of your standards. Again, even with like the parenting thing, or like I said earlier, the weed smoking thing, or you have a thing where like, well, I like women that are, 150 pounds and she's 160 pounds. I can't date her. Look and reassess the things that are have tos for you, because if you're at this older age and you're single, it could very well mean that a lot of the things you think need to not be there are not things. And it's actually a thing that you could be subconsciously doing because you're afraid to actually get into a real relationship. And so subconsciously, your brain is trying to keep you single so you won't get hurt, or so a woman will not eventually leave you because you don't think that you're really good enough for the woman that you want to actually stick around, okay? There's a lot of stuff that happens in our subconscious that we're not aware of, that we're doing to self-sabotage our ability to get into and then stay in relationships. And it's all self-protection, self-preservation, But you have to look at what those things are, look at the things that you think you just have to have or that you've been picky about in the past, and then ask yourself, how big of a deal is this really? And have I made this a bigger deal than I need to because I'm really trying to self-protect myself? If that's the case, you need to relook at that so that way you won't be stuck in this cycle of not being able to date the woman that you want and remaining perpetually single into your later years. So hopefully, guys, this helps you out. If you need more help, you can go to the website, introvertdatingsuccess.com. We got a lot of great programs there, all designed to help you date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. We have one-on-one coaching there. We have the Introvert Dating Success Academy. We have various ebooks. So check that stuff out. Also, if you want to send a monetary thank you, go to the website, click on the tip jar tab, and then you can leave a monetary thank you at the link that is available at that tab. All right. So thank you guys so much for watching the show today. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I will catch you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Introvert Dating Success Podcast. Visit us at introvertdatingsuccess.com for more great tips on attracting women using your natural introvert charm.